Good evening, and thank you once again for clicking on my channel. Um, so I just finished watching Obsession, um, which I this is for me. This is like a really fucked up movie. It is one hell of a movie, I have to say, and I have to say right off the bat, be careful what you wish for. That's all I can say. Um, so this movie came out, what was it, this past Friday or last Friday? Um, I can't really remember. But okay, so this the summary. After breaking the mysterious One Wish Willow to win his crush's heart, a hopeless romantic finds himself getting exactly what he asked for, but soon discovers that some desires come at a dark, sinister price. So there are some people that I do not know, and there is maybe, I think, just by looking at them, um, maybe two people that I recognize. But like the main couple, um, Indy Navarrete, maybe that's how you pronounce her name. She plays Nikki, and I recognize her from her playing in Superman and Lois for sure. I think that's truly what I remember her from. It does show she's in 13 Reasons Why. Maybe from that. She's in a couple other things, but definitely Superman and Lois. She definitely gives one hell of a performance in this movie. Michael Johnson, who plays Bear, um, not really familiar with him, but he's been in a few things. Uh, but I think this is probably something that is maybe really going to give him, hopefully, some credibility. Now, these two other people who are like their friends, Cooper Tomlinson plays Ian. Not familiar with him at all. Um, and to be honest, I mean, nothing against him, but he's not really anything to look at, especially for someone who is like I don't know what you want to consider him, like a comic relief maybe, and that apparently from this movie he had been hooking up with Nikki. Don't really see that happening, but again, who am I? Who am I to say anything? And then we got Megan Lawless, who plays Sarah again, which is one of their friends. I think I remember her from The Girl from Plainsville, and that's probably it. Yeah. But it really focuses on the couple. It does center around the four, but mostly on Michael, who was again trying to get Nikki to fall in love with him. And instead of just coming flat out saying, "Hey, I really like you," um, which is, you know what? I think this is genuinely a guy issue. Like, for some reason or another, guys tend to have a hard time with communication. Is it just me, or do a lot of people have that issue with guys? Some people tend to get better with it, but it's just like, why can't you just say how you're really feeling, or what's on your chest? We can talk it out, whatever. No, they just want to bottle everything up, and then when it's time to talk about it, they're like lashing out at you. Um, but yeah, instead of saying, "Hey, you know what? I'm putting all of this out on the table. I really like you. I hope this don't ruin what we have." But no, he wants to go grab this fucking whistle willow stick, whatever it is, and make a wish, and him basically saying, "I wish Nikki would love me more than anything or anyone in the world." And that sounds cool, but there is a warning on the box, and there is a number also to call, which he does call eventually. But it's like she went from this cool, chill girl to like psycho. Oh, like from 0 to 100. Like she's like, oh, it's just cute, blah 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 blah. And then she's like, why don't you love me? Like, bitch went insane. Like, seriously. By the way, my hair is a mess, but that's what. Just, it is what it is today, cause I didn't feel like putting any product in there, and it's like whatever, right? Anyway, so he definitely got his wish, and instead of telling his friends, like, hey, you may or may not believe me, but I got this stick. It's a wishing stick. I made a wish on it, and this is why she's gone crazy. Um, but then Nikki also is kind of, aside from being psycho, she's kind of playing the victim. Like, oh, my dad has cancer, and I just really need to be with somebody. Ian says, no, she doesn't. I mean, no, no, he doesn't. Um, his father has a child with somebody. So, but we don't see the father. We don't really see anybody else aside from just basically those four people. And I think the boss of this store that they work at, and this friend group, which is you see them once at a house party. Other than that, you don't really see anybody else. But also, I want to mention for those who have seen this movie, you see most basically Bear's house and Ian's house. Okay, I'm trying to put this into perspective because I'm not. I'm trying not to psychoanalyze this, or I should say, overanalyze this movie to death. But I tend to do that. For four people that work at basically a record store, a music store, how do you manage to pay the bills, the rent, etc., just by working at this one place? I can't imagine you making more than, I don't know, $10 an hour unless you know how to play instruments. I can't imagine. And a lot of people, places these days, they haven't even went up on minimum wage. But I don't know where this place is that they're living at. So maybe they're actually making pretty good money. Anyway, that's just me again analyzing. Um, so aside from that, then It seems like things are going pretty good for them. You see this little kind of like a time loop, if you will, them like going on dates and then eating, watching movies together. Seem like the cutest couple, and then it really develops into more chaos, and he's really like starting to like, okay, I don't know what I signed up for, but this was not it. And like I said, he calls the number on the box. They're basically saying like there's not much you could do other than kill yourself. And so I'm kind of forwarding this because there is more to it, but just to kind of get to the end of it, um, I think he buys like two more sticks, one for his friend Ian, for him to make a wish. He doesn't believe him, so he ends up making a wish, and I wish for $1 billion. Then it rains money, and so then he leaves and goes back to Nikki and it's like, Nikki, I really need you to do this for me. And she's all like going crazy, like, why don't you love me? She got a gun pointed underneath her neck, about to shoot herself. Like, I do love you. And that just doesn't seem to be going well. Ian comes through the door. Nikki shoots him. And then, by the way, let me rewind. Sarah tries to get in touch with Bear through text message saying, look, either you meet me at the park or I'm coming over. Um, he's so scared to to leave because he knows how Nikki is, right? And so, like, okay, like, basically come here and I'll come to your car. So they're talking in the car and whatever, and she's telling stuff about Nikki and Ian, blah blah blah, about them hooking up. It's like basically like a casual hookup, nothing serious. Um, and um, um, and they were like talking about something, and all of a sudden you see a Nikki like busting through her window, driver's side window, has a brick in her hand, smashing it against the brick, and you don't hardly see much of her face, but like an eye popping out and some teeth. Is like her face is unrecognizable. I'm like, oh my god. And for some reason, I kind of saw that coming, but I didn't know it was going to be that brutal. It's just, like this movie is wild. I thought in the beginning I was like, oh, this is going to be like one of those cliche like obsessed movies. Like okay, like we've seen this before. All right, but no, it definitely gave me more than what I anticipated for, and I wasn't even anticipating that. So um, and a lot of people were raving about this movie. It's like so far it's got like an 8.2 rating, and yeah. Um, but just in case you don't want to know the ending, if in case you haven't seen this, I won't say anything. But let's just say Nikki basically wakes up and realizes, like, oh my god, what happened? And yeah, it's like almost like her herself was in a trance inside her body, like she doesn't know what she was doing. Um, but yeah, it was really a trippy movie. It's written and directed by Curry Barker, which I'm not really familiar with. Um, these movies seem to be more or less short films, so I think this is maybe um, like his big film. Um, but yeah, um, I'd say if you haven't checked it out, do yourself a favor, check it out. It's actually pretty good. Um, so as I typically do, let's check out some of these reviews, shall we? This one gives an 8 out of 10. Obsession is a menacing example of selling one's soul for our deepest desires. Much of the film utilizes gruesome body horror sparingly, but when Barker wants to drive the nail home hard, he pulls it off wondrously. There are several particularly brutal scenes that shock with how quickly they arrive in the film. It's as harsh as can be as Barker pulls no punches of any of his characters. Best of all, he caps Obsession off uh, with an absolute devious finale. Um, yeah, I would agree with that. And if I hadn't said already, um, Indy definitely gives a great performance. Michael, not too bad either for like giving just like those shocked looks and just like terrified. It's like he doesn't even know like what to think and what to do and all that shit. All right, let's go to another one. This one gives a 9 out of 10. They say Twilight Zone on steroids. So this one, um, they have, must have went somewhere to see this film because they watched it on January 3rd. The most memorable movie I saw last year, um, TIFF was a neat little Midnight Madness horror flick named Obsession. The theme of this movie may be careful what you wish for. See, I said that. But don't dismiss it with been there, seen that. You haven't seen it like this before. This is be very, very careful what you wish for. The one obsessed is Bear, a young music store employee. The object is of his desire is Nikki, a coworker he's had a long time crush on. He wants to move on from friend, but his social awkwardness always seems to be uh, betray him. One day in an antique store, he comes across a novelty item called One Wish Willow. Supposedly, if you make a wish and break it, the wish is granted. He's skeptical, but in a what have I got to lose moment, he decides to give it a try. He wishes for Nikki to love him more than anything in the world. Mistake. It does occur to him, and loving somebody that much entails a radical change in a personality. And boy, does it. And that's where the horror comes in. Unlike the simple boo moments in so many of today's horror movies, some of the transformed Nikki scenes are genuinely unrevering. Michael Johnston, who plays Bear, gives a solid performance. I'm sure incels will find him very relatable and sympathetic, but the real revelation is Indy, who plays Nikki. She's totally credible as both a teasing and full blown psychotic. I'm sure that you'll be seeing more of her. I can't recall a performance by an actress in a horror film that can touch this one. The film was picked up by Focus Features and is scheduled for a May release. I hope that this isn't a repeat of 2007 when Stuart uh, Gordon, hard hitting, stuck at a rousing Midnight Madness premiere only to get abridged and neutered and its commercial release. He's hoping that the audience will get to see the same movie that I did. I don't know what that is, but okay. Let's see. We'll do two more. So let's see. This one gives it a 9 out of 10. We need to talk about Indy right here. Okay. Kudos to all the new talents involved. Curry Barker is bound to have a lot more great films in his future. I am told his shorts are YouTube. Excuse me. Are let me try this again. His shorts on YouTube are great, and I plan to watch them this week. But this film hinges on the performance or the performance or Indy. I had never heard her name before, but her performance is award worthy. If Amy Madigan can get the well deserved awards she got for Weapons, Indy's name should be popping up a lot during award season. I doubt that will happen, but her role was insanely difficult to pull off. If she had messed up in the very last and the least, the film would have been mediocre. I don't want to give too much away. I will say the weakest link was Johnson. I don't know if I don't really agree with that. I mean, I would say I would agree if she wasn't in it or someone comparable, it would have been mediocre. But I think he also gave a solid performance. The other two, now they were kind of you know. Um. Anyway, as her love interest, Bear, it is more than writing than the acting, but I really did not believe him throughout. Early on, he describes himself as a closed book, and is he ever? The entire movie, you'll be thinking to yourself, why doesn't he do this or that? But I guess if he reacted more logically, he would not have had so much great film to enjoy. It is a bloody and gross, but just as well done overall. One last thing, I don't think I've ever reacted to a jump scare scene as much as I did with one of the scenes in this film. Catch it in full theater, it will be much better than at home. Okay, one more. This one gives an 8 out of 10, a brilliant addition to the horror love story genre with elite horror stel- elite storytelling and execution. I watched Obsession. Oh, last year. Um, the storyline follows a guy who has a crush on a coworker but doesn't have the courage to ask her out. He breaks a one wish willow. He buys a crystal and a charm, and wishes for his crush to love him more than anything on earth. With sounds like, which sounds like a good idea until she actually does. This picture is written and directed by Curry Barker, who did Milk and Cereal, which I don't know, never heard of it. Um, Indie. Um, okay, so I guess they're talking about what they played in. So I only know Indie from, like I said, uh, Superman and Lois. Cooper Tomlinson was also in Milk and Cereal, and Megan Lawless, Killer Rental, and then Michael was in Drama Drama. This has so much good writing and the execution, and is essentially a horror love story. And I like this one more than most of the horror subgenre. The acting is really good, and the expressions, mannerisms, and the character delivery are elite. The guy was so frustrating, but the pina colada scene completely sank the ship. There's a nice blend of simple horror concepts, practical effects, and modern CGI, though some of the CGI scenes felt like more than they needed to be, in my opinion. The writing is so smart, and the movie is shot so well to bring most moments home. The simple concepts that really sold this for me are the sarcasms, banging door, the shadow walking scenes, just simple ideas executed extremely well. The Jenga game is an elite horror scene, and this movie has an elite use of a brick. There are some great corpse in this too, both human and animal. There's a lot to like here. In conclusion, Obsession is a brilliant addition to the horror love. Okay, you've already said that. I score it a 7.58 out of 10, which you've actually gave it an 8 out of 10. I don't know. I don't know why people want to add extra stuff that they've already added. Anyway, so let me see what my. I think I give it an 8. I think I give it a solid 8. 8 out of 10. I think there was. I think. I'm trying to figure out, like, was one scene necessary? Because essentially, I mean, yeah, they kept using the cat, so I'm like, all right. But I was gonna say, I don't know if the cat was necessary, but yeah, I guess so. Never mind. If you know, you know. Um, but yeah, if you've seen this film, let me know what you think. If you haven't, and if you plan on checking it out, also let me know what you think. As always, please comment down below, subscribe if you haven't already, and hey, see you next time.